A few weeks ago, I decided to start a YouTube channel. And if you've ever done that before, you know that the beginning can be pretty difficult. So I hopped online and I started to research what successful creators that I enjoyed to watch were doing. And I noticed something that they all had that I didn't: a desk. And so I built this. And the great thing I love about this desk was just how simple it was to make. All you're gonna need is 10 2x4s, some glue, some screws, 1/2-inch plugs, and your choice of stain. To start, I stripped down all of the 2x4s to clean up the edges. If you have a planer, you could use that instead. One thing I will add for this step is to really make sure that you pick out your 2x4s when you're at the lumber yard. They need to be as straight as possible. I spent almost 45 minutes picking mine out, and it was well worth it. Make sure to strip both sides. After you have them stripped, you are going to cut them to length. Cut 7 of the 2x4s to 58 inches. These will be for the top. With the last 3 2x4s, you're going to cut them to 29 inches. You'll need 14 of these for the legs. To attach the 2x4s, I use glue and a few pocket screws. If you don't have pocket screws, the glue should be just fine by itself. Once everything is clamped together, leave it overnight to dry. As the glue is drying, I wanted to take a quick moment to say that if you found this video helpful at all, or even entertaining, to consider subscribing. It really helps me out and it just takes 1 second to hit the icon. Also, if you have any tips, I'm always looking to improve. All right, let's get back to it. After taking the clamps off, I like to take an old hand planer to scrape off the dried glue that squeezed out overnight. To clean up the ends of the table, I drew a line using my carpenter square. Then from that line, I measured 5 inches up and clamped down a guide for my skill saw. The reason I measured 5 inches up is because the guide of my skill saw sits about 5 inches away from the blade. Wherever the edge of your guide sits, that'll be 5 inches from the cut. After all the edges were trimmed, I sanded down the surfaces. I started with 80 grit, then used 20, and then finished with 180. I'm going to use 2.5-inch construction screws to connect the legs. I started by boring holes with a 1/2-inch drill bit. Once the holes have been drilled, I lay the desk and legs on the ground to get the first screw started. After that, I'm able to stand the table up and screw in the rest of them. I end by plugging the holes and hammering the plugs in. And once everything is dried, back to sanding. The last thing to do is to stain the desk. I also added a coat of polyurethane once the stain was dry. And that's how you build a desk with only using 2x4s. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.